and I was sort of almost trapped in a thought process or a mindset. Within the first 8 days of our relationship being made public was when it said Harry's girl almost straight out of Compton, and that her exotic DNA will be thickening the royal blood. We would get followed, photographed, chased, harassed. The clicking of cameras and the flashes of cameras makes my blood boil. It makes me angry. It takes me back to what happened to my mum and what I experienced when I was a kid.
That's enough.
Listen, hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. We're going to quickly just break down a video that was done on Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. And listen, you know what? The royal family and the media, the reason why they hate Meghan Markle, let me tell you why, and then I'll explain it in full why this is happening. They hate Meghan Markle because she is the final jigsaw piece that gave Prince Harry the strength to leave the toxic environment. If you've ever been in a toxic environment before, or an abusive situation, or a controlling situation, right? The person who comes in that has a completely different mindset and a different way of thinking, not because she's American, just simply because she had a different mindset, coming into the fold and seeing Harry gave him the strength and gave him something to protect, to exit out of that situation. Look, I believe that some things are God ordained, you know. Certain things are God ordained. Number one, I say this because first and foremost, Diana was never the kind of woman that you were going to kind of control, because she saw things differently. You know, rest in peace, Diana, as well, you know. And she was the kind of woman that saw things differently, and she did things differently. She loved and she cared, and that went against the establishment. Because the establishment isn't built on love, it's built on fear. How the hell where do you think they got all their riches from? When you conquer other nations and you take their riches and you decimate lands, you're wearing like Queen Elizabeth was wearing a crown that is stolen jewels from another country. You don't need any more evidence. Someone might say, what else? What they used to do back in the day? I don't care. That is what we're talking about. So that establishment is built on fear. It's built on control. And what Harry realizes is, he's got the same vibe his mum has. He's got the same vibe his mum has, right? And seeing his mum go through what she went through, the love that he has, because he's also emulating what his mum is, because he's similar to his mum in his makeup, in the way that he thinks. And so because he's a lover, it only took for now Meghan Markle. By the way, Meghan Markle wasn't the only black girl that he dated. I think there was another. No, I think it was the first black girl. I think there was a girl that was from Zimbabwe, I believe. I don't know if she was actually black. By the way, beside the point, really. Meghan comes in, okay, has a different mindset. You know, they care for each other, they love each other, and what happens is this: Harry has something to protect. Harry has something to protect, right? And he realizes that if I am going to love this woman, if I'm going to care for this family, and if I don't want the same thing to happen to what happened to my mom, I need to do something different. They hate Meghan Markle because she is the final piece of the jigsaw that allows him to escape what they could not escape. See, Prince Charles can't run away. Prince William can't run away. The Queen couldn't run away from her destiny. They can't run away from this destiny. Harry didn't want to be king. Like, he might end up becoming king. This could be wild if it becomes that way. He could end up becoming the king. But Harry never wanted to become king. He always wanted freedom. He always wanted something different to what was offered on the plate of royalty, right? Royalty has its perks, but it also has its downfalls, guy. Like, I don't envy anyone in royalty. Like, I know some people might be like, oh, it must be so easy being a prince. You go and be a prince for a day, you see that it's not easy. You'll go there, you see the wind is blowing differently, it's buffering differently to you. Like, it's not easy being in that space. So I don't envy, and I don't want to be a prince like William and Harry are, because there's so many forms of control. There's so many ways you have to be, you know. And so Harry has done something that they all probably wish they could do: abdicate, vacate, remove, come out of the control environment. Someone might think that they control us. They do in some part, but they're also because of that control, they're also stuck in that place. They are stuck in the image of being royalty and being the monarchy. can't just leave that. No, you're the bloodline. You must take over. It's almost like being in a family business that has been going on it's been doing so well, and it's like saying, I don't want to be part of that family business. What do you mean you don't want to be part of that family business? What do you mean it's the family business? You need to be here. Yeah? I need to pass this down to you so you can pass it down to your kids and your kids. It's a lot of pressure. But let's go back to that clip. If you're new to the channel, do me a massive favor. Like it, share, subscribe. Click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you guys. Say locked, say loaded. And as well, don't forget as well, guys, grab your tickets down below. In fact, I'm going to put it, check description box. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, cool. Let's get the video going. All right.
But it went to a whole new depth with not just traditional media, but also social media platforms as well. I felt completely helpless. I thought my family would help, but every single ask, request, warning, whatever it is, just got met with total silence or total neglect.
Do you hear that? Do you hear what he just said? I tried to ask my family. See, there's so many people out there that say, I hate Meghan Markle. You don't know anything. Shut up. You don't know anything. You don't know anything. You have not done your research. Listen, I keep saying it. You keep thinking it's Meghan that's controlling, and I keep telling you, Harry was trying to leave from time. He just, you see, the Bible talks about the triple braided cord, in Ecclesiastics, right? But I think it also talks about one can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight. Look, you have to understand that having two people now who have the same mindset is strength. It gives you an encouragement, a boost. But then have a man's, because he loves, you have to understand this as well. This is what I love about Harry, I love the embodiment of what he embodies, right? Because as a man, when you really love somebody and you love them as Christ loved the church, there's a form of sacrifice. The guy has given up his role as a royal, but he was going to do that anyway. Let's be honest, right? Give up his role for a royal. Do you know what? This even gives me gospel vibes. Ooh, gives me gospel vibes. Because it's like, and I'm not saying he's Jesus, by the way. I want you to understand this. I'm talking about the analogy here. That in Philippians, it talks about the fact that I think it's Philippians 2, verse 5 onwards. And it talks about how Jesus left his glory to come down, be a little bit lower than the angels. To do what? To come and die for us, right? It says, though he was equal to God, right? At this point, he decided to come down, be humility, come from his throne, leave it, abdicate it, leave royalty, leave your queen, mother and dad and brother, leave royalty and come down to be like those who are men in order to save them from destruction. But let me read Philippians 2. Philippians 2, right? The gospel says, Philippians 2 verse 5, it says, let this mind be in you, which also is in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God. So he's God, but made himself of no reputation, like Harry's doing, trying to make himself of no reputation. That, look, I'll willingly abdicate this royal thing. I'll go do my own thing. I'll do Netflix stuff, right? Okay. But made himself no reputation and took him the form of a servant and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in a fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Wherefore God also have highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of Jesus every knee shall bow, I was going to sing the song, but it doesn't say that. Every knee shall bow of things in heaven and things in earth and things under the earth, and every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Look, what it says here is that Jesus abdicated his throne. Similarly, how Harry had to abdicate his position as being a royal just to be able to save his woman. Jesus had to abdicate his royalty, his glory, him being in the form of God to become like man, to save man. I'm not saying Harry's God. I want you to understand this. I'm just talking about a type, kind of like, I don't know how do you call it, but it's a similar scene, right? And so what's powerful about it is that the reason for it is LOVE, love. The love that God had for us is what Harry's displaying that Harry has for Meghan. So much so he's willing to sacrifice the family aspect to come and be with her. If that means I gotta be away from you guys, that's cool. I love you guys, but I gotta go and save my family. I can't have a repeat mistake. I can't, right? Now, away from that little gospel moment, Harry is talking about how you saw the news articles, how they were printing about mudding up the bloodline. Look, the media, especially Daily Mail, is, I told you, an extension of the powers that be that have an agenda. Okay, all right? They have an agenda. Anything against the agenda of what they want will end up being newsworthy for them. Which is why I said, look at how the newspaper sit in bed with the royal family. Because if you really deep it, if he's asking his family to help him, why didn't they help him? Why is it that the royal family didn't say to the newspapers, stop printing what you're printing? It's gone too far now. Why didn't they come out and say that? Could have done, because they've gone too far. Mudding up the bloodline.
We spent 4 years trying to make it work. We did everything that we possibly could to stay there and carry on doing the role and doing the job. But Meghan was struggling. I think people have seen the photograph of us, squeezing each other's hands as we walked into the Royal Albert Hall in London for a charity event. She was 6 months pregnant at the time. What perhaps people don't understand is earlier that evening, Meghan decided to share with me the suicidal thoughts and the practicalities of how she was going to end her life.
Yo, let me tell you something, yeah? This is wild. If you've never dated someone that felt... I've only heard this ever once out of the mouth of someone that I was with. I've lived 1,000 lives in relationships. It's kind of crazy. But when you hear it, you don't know what to do. I've also had a girl that I knew when I was in school. I remember this years ago. And she decided to tell me. And I was just like confused. I was like, why is she telling me? Like, and I remember I had to sit there, like, tell her, listen, no, don't do it. At 15, you're trying to counsel someone. Or 16, you're trying to counsel someone into not doing this particular thing. It is draining. Do not play with me. It is draining. It is tiresome to support someone in that space. And it's also scary to hear, especially if it's your partner, that they want to take their life. Don't play with me, which is why I was so annoyed with Piers Morgan chatting sheesh. When someone says they want to end their life and they feel this way, you don't come out and start trying to tell the person, no, you don't. You don't come out and tell the person that you're faking it. You don't come out and say these things. If you've never lived and been in that space, you don't ever have to ever be in that situation. You don't want to ever hear your partner ever say those words. Because let me tell you this now, you do not have the answers. You don't have the answers. Because there is not necessarily an answer for this situation. This person is in a mental space. Now, of course, you can do certain things that can potentially alleviate some of the stress factors that are happening in that moment. But you don't have the answers, Sway. Because in some sense, all you can do is encourage and support and be there as much as possible. And you're praying, hoping, and maybe do some other things as well alongside that will help the mental health in that aspect. So when someone gets to that space, it's bloody deadly serious. You understand what I'm saying? Right? So when he's explaining this, I can see why he's thinking to himself, no. And what people don't realize is, how hard can it be to be a royal? You don't know. Because you are short-sighted, you don't know. You don't know. You are short-sighted, that's why you don't know. The kind of pressures that come in the way that you've never... Okay, even just doing YouTube, I've felt when you do certain things, right, on YouTube, you feel the pressures like of people trying to tell you can and can't do this. Or you could and can't do this. As a Christian, you also feel it. People say, this is not Christian, you can't do this, you can't do that, right? If you've been a PK, a pastor's kid before, you know there's pressures of being a PK before. You can't do this, can't do that. People are watching you every single move. Can't make a mistake. When you are a royal, you put one foot wrong, she smirked. She smirked and somebody tweeted and said, Meghan Markle is X, Y, and Z. You can't do anything wrong. You can't put any foot wrong. You can't swear. You can't lose composure. You can't lose your temper. You can't do anything a normal person would normally do. You can't have a moment. You can't decide that you ain't gonna hug somebody today because that could be a photo op and a conversation about how you are not a nice person. You must consistently 24/7 uphold the virtues, okay, and the attitudes of someone who's a perfect human being, which does not exist. Only Jesus is that person. Right? And that's how people end up becoming narcissistic, because when you bore them into an ideology of being completely perfect, the human mind can't do that. It's not perfect. Which is why I always loved Harry. I remember, I always said this, the first time I really loved Harry and his energy was something that was crazy and was obviously distasteful. I can't lie to you, it was. But I love the fact that he was willing to be a little bit abnormal. And it was when he went to a party, and he went to fancy dress party, and unfortunately he wore a German swastika around his arm. Now, it was disrespectful to Jews and disrespectful to our history. I agree. And he got caught in the newspapers and he was drunk. And I remember how they slewed him, like saying obviously da 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 da. And I said to him, he's only human. I remember looking at it, I was like, I don't agree with what he done. I think it's terrible what he done, but it's only human. But the way you lot are slewing him, anybody think that he's actually relived Adolf Hitler's life again? Like he's turned into Adolf Hitler? Do you know what I'm saying? Man had a private party that was down in his basement. I don't agree with it again, but this is what he was doing. And I just remember saying, rah, this guy is, I don't know, he's different, you know? And people can appreciate people who show humility, and people can appreciate people who show us that they're not perfect. Because no one's perfect, is they, really? Let's listen a bit more and we'll leave it there.
The scariest thing for her was her clarity of thought. She hadn't lost it. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't self-medicating, be it through pills or through alcohol. She was absolutely sober. She was completely sane. Yet in the quiet of night, these thoughts woke her up.
Yeah. It's real.
The thing that stopped her from seeing it through was how unfair it would be on me after everything that had happened to my mum, and to now be put in a position of losing another woman in my life with a baby inside of her, our baby. I'm somewhat ashamed of the way that I dealt with it. And of course, because of the system that we were in and the responsibilities and the duties that we had.
Let's pause it there. And you know what? He's about to go somewhere, and I love this, man. I love the fact, first and foremost, he owns his mistake. You know, I will talk about this. Listen, we talk about accountability on the channel all the time. We just want people to be accountable. We spoke about this yesterday about men being accountable, because that's how people follow your leadership. The reason why and again, I'm going to say again, the reason why I like Harry again is because, one, he articulates himself very well. But two, also, he also gives me emotion when he's talking. I feel emotion when he's talking. When I hear William talk, no offense to William, I don't really hear the emotion. When I hear Harry talk, I hear passion. You understand? I'm a passionate man, you know. I'm a passionate man. And so when I see another man that's passionate, I appreciate that. You understand? So when he's talking, and you can even hear the passion even now. You can see it in his facial expressions. Very much like how Diana, I remember, and listen, when Diana passed, yeah, I will tell you this now. I remember where I was. I was at my auntie's house, yeah, and they said Diana had passed. The way my auntie went, oh! People just love Diana. Listen, Diana was someone that people loved. Because when people can really, look, the Queen is loved by whatever, right? But Diana, listen, Diana was more popular than the Queen. I'll be honest with you. Because wherever she went, do you know what? Wherever she went, people of all levels appreciated her. You understand what I'm saying? Of all levels. Yeah, and listen, don't get it twisted. I don't agree with the monarchy. I don't like the monarchy in terms of what it represented because of what it had done in its history. But someone like Diana, who is in the public eye and shows you this care and affection, who softness and a gentleness and just a warmth. You know, I've never met her personally, but what I saw on screen translated to what we see as people's testimonies as they've met Diana, that they have the same, and that's the same thing that they got from when they met her. You know what I'm saying? Now, someone said they could have. Listen, they could have photo opted that way, but we've never seen that from Charles. We've never seen this from her ex. We've never seen that from Charles. We've never really seen that from William. And they have press to do this for them. You can't fake the funk. I mean, you can. No, you can't fake the funk. You can't fake the funk. If you got that greasiness, if you've got that attitude of love and appreciation, people sense it, even through the screen. You know? People sense it. You don't have to meet them to know it. You just see it through the screen. It comes through. Yeah? And he's got the same energy. Let's play a little bit longer.
We had a quick cuddle, and then we had to get changed, and I had to jump in a convoy with a police escort and drive to the Royal Albert Hall for a charity event, and then step out into a wall of cameras and pretend as though everything's okay. There wasn't an option to say, you know what, tonight, we're not going to go. Because just imagine the stories that come from that. While my wife and I were in those chairs, gripping each other's hand, the moment the lights go down, Meghan starts crying. I'm feeling sorry for her, but I'm also really angry with myself that we're stuck in this situation.
This is deep, man.
I was ashamed that it got this bad. I was ashamed to go to my family.
Ooh, Chile, this is deep. Can't get me emotional up in here. You know, I'm a passionate man. I get emotional the way he's telling the story because, bro, when you love your girl, bro, it's real. These things are mad. These are real stuff that happen, bro. You know what I'm saying? And the way he's explaining it, that when the lights go low, that's when, and you can identify this moment. That's what I'm saying to you. Like, you can identify this moment. It's that maybe the lights didn't go low. Maybe you went to your bedroom and you switch off the lights and you enter your bed. And that's when you start thinking about some stuff, right? This is a deep, dark place to be in. I'm telling you, this ain't it. This is a deep, dark place to be in where you start seeing things and feeling things, you know? So I love again how he's explaining the fact that he knows that there's something that has to change, but it's so difficult. How do you go against family right now, cuz? How do you go against family? Last minute or two we're going to do, and then we can do a part 2 of this.
Because to be honest with you, like a lot of other people my age can probably relate to, I know that I'm not going to get from my family what I need. I then had a son who I'd far rather be solely focused on, rather than every time I look in his eyes, wondering whether my wife is going to end up like my mother and I'm going to have to look after him myself. That was one of the biggest reasons to leave.
Well, let's leave it there, man. Like I said, the reason why they won't like Meghan Markle is simply because she is now the catalyst that sped up the reasoning, or should sped up the reason for Harry to vacate that place, man. Right? So to others, it will look like, oh, she drove a wedge between Harry and the family. No. Harry was already feeling it from beforehand. This just gave him the catalyst. This just gave him the energy, the impetus, and the drive to now do it. Like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. Don't forget, grab your tickets for the live US panel tour that we have in October down below. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very soon.